Imagine waking up on a Tuesday morning, making yourself a fresh coffee, and knowing that while you slept, your money just sent you another paycheck. This is the ultimate dream millions of Australians are desperately chasing right now. Today, I'm going to show you the exact mathematical blueprint of how much you need invested to actually live off dividends forever. Living entirely off dividends in Australia is genuinely one of the most achievable forms of total financial freedom on the planet. The secret reason why? It's a massive financial loophole almost unique to Australia called franking credits. When an Australian company pays you a dividend, they've already paid 30% corporate tax. The government actually gives you that tax back as a cash credit. So, when you see a 4% dividend yield on the ASX 200, your real grossed up yield is closer to 5.5 or even 6%. In the US or UK, investors get crushed by double taxation. Here, the system actively rewards you for investing. Let's look at the absolute numbers. How much do you actually need to live comfortably? According to the ASFA retirement standard for 2026, a single person needs roughly $55,000 a year, while a couple needs about $77,000 to thrive. If you want the lean, bare-bones lifestyle, you need around 35 grand. But if you're chasing absolute luxury, overseas trips, dining out constantly, and upgrading cars, you are realistically looking at generating $100,000 or more in purely passive income every single year. Here is where the math gets incredibly exciting. Assuming a conservative grossed-up yield of 5.5% across a diversified Aussie portfolio, you need roughly $910,000 invested to perfectly generate $50,000 a year in forever income. If you want $75,000 a year, you need about $1.36 million invested. And if you want a six-figure, $100,000 dream lifestyle, you need $1.82 million. These numbers might sound massive, but everyday Australians hit them consistently through sheer compounding. But hold on, there is a massive catch most people forget: tax. Even with franking credits, you still pay marginal tax on massive dividend payouts. But if dividends are your only income, the tax-free threshold of $18,200 is your absolute best friend. In fact, you can earn around $30,000 in fully franked dividends and pay basically zero net tax. The attached franking credits completely wipe out your tax bill. It is the ultimate legal tax reduction strategy built specifically for everyday Aussie investors. Now, let me show you the fast track that most people entirely miss. You don't need to save 900 grand from absolute scratch. You just need to invest consistently and let compounding interest do the incredibly heavy lifting for you in the background. If you aggressively invest just $1,500 a month into a diversified Aussie ETF averaging an 8% total return, you will hit $900,000 in under 19 years. Start in your late 20s, and you are entirely financially free before 50. The absolute biggest mistake new investors make? Chasing insanely high dividend yields. If an ASX stock is paying 12%, it is almost always a toxic value trap. The stock price has collapsed, or the dividend is about to be violently slashed. The companies that successfully pay growing dividends decade after decade are beautifully boring. We are talking about the big banks, Wesfarmers, BHP, and Woolworths. They are not flashy tech startups, but they will relentlessly pay you cash forever. And forever is the absolute goal. There is an even smarter way to do this: Aussie dividend ETFs. Massive funds like VAS, VHY, or IOZ instantly give you broad diversification across up to 300 dividend-paying companies in a single trade. It completely removes the massive stress of picking individual stocks. Let's talk about the silent wealth killer: inflation. If you need 50 grand to survive today, you will need nearly 90 grand in 20 years. But quality Australian companies actually grow their dividends over time, heavily outpacing inflation and aggressively protecting your vital purchasing power. Finally, the ultimate wealth accelerator, the Dividend Reinvestment Plan, or DRP. While you are building your massive portfolio, don't take the cash. Automatically reinvest every single dividend back into buying more shares. Your shares buy shares, which then aggressively buy even more shares. By the time you finally flip the switch to live entirely off the income, your portfolio will be generating dramatically more cash than if you had spent those dividends along the way. Stay disciplined, leverage those franking credits, and let compounding do its magic. If this breakdown helped you see exactly what it takes to live off dividends in Australia, do me a massive favor and smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and I will see you in the next video.